The Water Margin, Chapter 24.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're jumping straight into, well, probably the single most volatile family reunion in all of classical Chinese literature.
It's an incredible scene.
What happens when a heroic, tiger-slaying warrior meets his meek, mocked, and physically opposite older brother?
And not just his brother, he also meets his brother's beautiful, very frustrated wife.
At the exact same time. It's a masterful and, frankly, a terrifying dramatic setup.
It really is. Instant, almost visceral conflict.
Yeah, the one that erupts the moment, Wu Song, Wu Delang, and Pan Jinlian are all confined under one roof. We have Wu Song, who we've already established as the hero of the hour.
Right, the chief constable, the Dutu.
He's just been celebrated for killing that terrifying tiger on Jingyang Ridge, and he's in Yanggu County.
And he just runs into his older, full-blood brother, Wu Delang. They hadn't seen each other in, what, over a year?
Over a year. And when they meet, Wu Delang has this fascinating, really complicated psychological cocktail of feelings.
Oh, absolutely. It's resentment and longing all mixed together. And that is so key to understanding his character.
He starts by explaining that he resented Wu Song because back when his younger brother was in Qinghai County, he was just constantly starting drunken fights.
And facing lawsuits.
Exactly. Wu Delang says he never had one clean month because he was always dealing with the local authorities for his brother.
So Wu Song was a huge liability.
A massive one. But then there's this twist.
Right, because time and distance have completely changed his perspective. Delang says that since he recently got married, he was being bullied relentlessly.
By those scheming, floating, idle youths.
Without Wu Song's, his intimidating physical presence, Delang was just completely defenseless. The very thing that used to cost him money and grief.
The volatility.
That volatility is now the one thing he desperately needs to save his social standing.
It's a twisted dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah.
The man who created chaos is now the only one who can bring order. And to really get why Delang was so helpless, you have to look at the physical contrast.
Oh, this is where the whole tragedy begins. The source is not subtle.
Not at all. Wu Song is described as being 8 feet tall.
8 foot tall, handsome Yamal Tentang, and possessing, the strength of 1,000 caddies. He's the lion.
It's the lion of our story. And then you have Wu Delang.
The physical antithesis. He's less than 5 feet tall, ugly face, a ridiculous head shape. The narrative doesn't just describe him.
No, it judges him.
It judges him entirely based on his body.
And the locals in Qinghai, they crystallize that judgment into this just brutally cruel nickname, 3-inch Dingu Shupai.
We should probably break that down.
We really should. It essentially means 3-inch dwarf valley tree bark. It combines his pathetic height with the image of a repulsive, dried-up, useless thing.
And that moniker, it isn't just a schoolyard insult, it's a social verdict. It confirmed his helplessness.
It's why he had to flee his home.
Exactly. It's why he was forced to pack up his steamed cakes, his cubing, and move to Yanggu County just to find some peace. Wu Song's physique confirms his power. Wu Delang's body explains his utter powerlessness.
And it's at the exact moment this heroic power is reunited with utter meekness that Pan Jinlian walks into the room.
And that's when the chemistry starts to burn.
So Wu Delang, he's just thrilled to have his powerful brother back. He takes him home to Zixi Street and calls out for his wife, Pan Jinlian.
Initially, he just calls her Damao, or elder sister-in-law.
And the arrival of the lion into the lollipop's den, it just immediately shifts the emotional balance of the entire house.
Oh, indeed. And before we even analyze her reaction to Wu Song, you have to understand her background. It's so deeply frustrated.
Right. What kind of woman completes this tragic equation?
The source tells us she was a maid, a shinu, maybe around 20, and everyone acknowledged she had some beauty,
And her master pursued her, but she refused him. She even went so far as to report him to his wife, the mistress of the house.
Which was a very brave but very dangerous move.
And his revenge. It's a masterwork of cruelty. He holds this deep grudge, pays her dowry himself, and marries her off for free.
For free. He lost money on the deal.
Right. Da Pei Si Fang Lian. He marries her off to the absolute worst social and physical specimen he could possibly find. Wu Delang.
This wasn't a marriage of convenience. This was designed to be a permanent destruction of her status, a punishment for her virtue.
And it worked. Marrying her to a man described as short, ugly, lacking style Bui Hung Liu. It meant she was instantly existentially unhappy.
And the source is explicit about the consequence of this. It says she found Delang repulsive, and because of that, she became a woman who was loving to steal men. Hansi.
Her beauty became a weapon born out of pure frustration.
Yeah, and they give us that poetic summation of her temperament. Her beauty masks the sensual disposition just ready for illicit affairs. It confirms she is actively looking for an escape route.
And her beauty, ironically, becomes the cause of Wu Delang's greatest public shame.
Those youths in King A. They were attracted to her, but they used her to torment her husband. They'd stand outside the door,
Shouting that infamous, humiliating insult.
good piece of mutton falling into a dog's mouth.
Wow. I mean, that public shaming, it's a direct attack on her desirability and his complete inadequacy.
And that was the final straw. That's what forced them to pack up and flee to Yanggu County.
Which brings us right to this moment of truth.
Right.
Because the instant she sees Wu Song, she doesn't see a brother-in-law.
No. She sees the life she believed she was robbed of, and this is where the narrative just accelerates.
When Pan Jinlian sees Wu Song, this tall, handsome, celebrated official, the internal assessment she makes is just devastating for her husband.
The text gives us her direct thoughts.
It does. She thinks, he is Wu Delang's full brother, and so tall and handsome. If I had married someone like this, I wouldn't have lived the wasted life.
And she immediately looks at her husband and sees 3 parts human and 7 parts ghost. There's no kinship there. It's just cold calculation.
Her mind immediately turns to how she can get this powerful, unmarried man to move in with them.
Yes, she literally asks herself, I wonder how I can get him to move into my home.
And the flattery starts instantly. It's so aggressive, it goes way beyond simple hospitality. It's a performance.
It really is. They go upstairs and she immediately finds an excuse to send Wu Delang down to prepare food.
Right, claiming she has to stay to accompany Wu Song. She's just heaping on the smiles, the overly attentive questions, constantly calling him Shushu.
Brother-in-law. But she's using the term with this excessive intimacy.
And she's probing for vital statistics. She asks his age 25, and she notes he's 3 years older than her.
And crucially, is he married? He is not. These are not sisterly questions. This is market research.
Totally. And during the meal, which the hapless Delang was so inept at organizing, that the neighbor, Wang Po, had to arrange it.
He couldn't even do that, right?
She couldn't. She is relentlessly physically serving him. The source says she keeps picking the best fish, the best meat, and putting it on his plate. And her eyes.
They never leave his body. It's not a meal. It's a demonstration of a future domestic arrangement.
Exactly. And her most calculated move is flattering him by criticizing the very man she's supposed to honor.
She says to him, how can you be so backward? As the saying goes, a person without strength of character cannot establish themselves firmly.
She's trying to create this immediate illicit bond of shared superiority over her own husband.
And she even mocks Delang's walk, calling him a man who takes 3 steps without turning back, 4 steps turning his body. She's basically saying,
look at this weakling I'm stuck with. You are strong. We belong together. It's an outright invitation for Wu Song to replace his brother.
But the contrast in how they interpret this whole situation it's just devastating. Wu Song's reaction is entirely defensive.
Yeah, completely rooted in filial duty. He's described as a straight-laced fellow, as Shanda Hanzi.
To him, she is purely and simply his sister-in-law. End of story.
He's so uncomfortable. He's processing all this intense, intimate attention through a lens of strict Confucian morality, of kinship.
While she's reading it as a mutual attraction, fueled by hospitality.
The source tells us he can't bear her looking, so he just lowers his head and tries to ignore her. His only defense is to physically and emotionally retreat.
And that contrast between her burning desire and his chilled discomfort, that's the central conflict for the next few chapters. How do you reconcile that?
Well, the reconciliation is immediate confinement. Pan Jinlian, seeing him get up to leave, insists that he move in.
And she uses the perfect manipulative argument. It's all wrapped in duty and status.
She argues that staying at the official yamen is, inconvenient and unclean? She says she will personally prepare his food and drink.
It's far better than having unclean people serve him.
But then it's the social pressure she brings in. She turns to Wu Delang and stresses that if his own brother doesn't move in, the neighbors will mock them.
Close brothers are not like others. She's weaponizing the concept of saving face and filial piety to make the move mandatory.
And Wu Delang, who is just completely blind to the emotional danger but obsessed with his social status, agrees immediately.
Of course he does. He sees this as his chance to save face to Zemkyu Ki by having the celebrated tiger slayer living under his roof.
He trades his domestic peace for social validation. And Wu Song, seeing how insistent they both are, agrees out of duty. He'll move in that very evening.
And the setup for the move just confirms Wu Song's new elevated status. He brings silver, asks his brother to buy snacks and fruit to treat the neighbors.
Which is very fitting for a chief constable.
Exactly. And Pen Jinlian's reaction when she sees his luggage, his new clothes, all his rewards. The source says she's as delighted, like picking up gold treasure in the middle of the night.
And she ensures the strategic placement of his new room. A bed, a table, 2 stools, a fireplace. All prepared for him upstairs.
Upstairs. By placing him upstairs, she's put him in the most intimate space of the house, right next to their private life.
Her control is absolute from the very next morning. She rushes up to prepare his wash water and tea herself.
And Wusong, maybe he senses this is too much. He tries to restore some distance. He suggests bringing a soldier from the county office to help with chores.
And she refuses, point blank. She calls the soldiers filthy people and says she cannot bear to watch them work.
She is ensuring that she is the sole provider of his most intimate personal care. She's forcing proximity.
And Wusong, he's not going to argue with his sister-in-law over a domestic detail. He's forced to yield.
And our source material, it gives us this stunningly detailed roadmap of this single disastrous evening. You see the calculated seduction, you see the famous rejection, and then the immediate, just poisonous fallout.
You've got Wusong, and he's living just temporarily with his older brother, Wu Da.
Who's a simple man, right? A hardworking guy who sells these flatbreads, tubing.
Exactly. And Wusong, he has his duties. He's a powerful local official. And then there's Pan Jinlian. She's married to the very humble Wu Da, but she is beautiful, she's bored, and just deeply dissatisfied with her life.
So at first, she's doing everything she's supposed to do as a sister-in-law. You know, she's cooking, preparing his meals. But the sources are pretty clear. She's already using this subtle language, some words, to sort of test the waters with her heroic brother-in-law.
And Wusong, I mean, he embodies this absolutely rigid moral code of a public hero. He's described as a hard-hearted, straightforward fellow.
Who just doesn't get it.
He either doesn't register the flirtation at all, or, more likely, he's consciously dismissing it. Which, of course, only makes Pan Jinlian even more frustrated. He's this irresistible object to her, precisely because he seems so immovable.
It's just a disaster waiting for the right atmosphere. So let's move into the snowstorm. Because this weather, it's not just background, is it? It's practically a co-conspirator.
Absolutely. A month goes by, November arrives, and it arrives with a vengeance. We get these incredible descriptions of the weather. Wind was strong, dark clouds gathered.
A silver-paved world, jade-carved universe. It's beautiful imagery.
It is. But crucially, it creates total isolation.
The perfect cover. So Wusong is delayed at the county office, and Wu Da is out in the freezing cold trying to sell his biscuits. This is Jinlian's moment.
And it's not an impulse. This is a plan. She tells the neighbor, Wang Po, to go buy some special wine and meat. She lights a charcoal fire in Wusong's room, and she resolves, and this is a quote, to thoroughly provoke him.
She's building this little bubble of intimacy, piece by piece.
Meticulously. So when Wusong finally gets home, he's struggling through the snow, and she's right there to greet him warmly, lifting the curtain for him. But even here, you see this collision of their two worlds.
Right. She asks if he's cold, and she reaches for his hat. But he politely, but very firmly, rejects that physical closeness. He insists on brushing the snow off himself.
It's a small thing, but it's a checkmate on her very first move.
But she recovers, doesn't she?
Oh, brilliantly. She closes the front and back doors. I mean, she is literally sealing them off from the world and from her husband. And then she sets up the food and the wine right there in the warmth of Wusong's small room.
And when he asks where his brother is, her reply is just the ultimate signal.
It's so direct.
We can't wait for him. There's no time to wait. At that moment, all pretense of just, normal family hospitality is gone. The clock is ticking.
What comes next is it's like a ritual of escalation.
Yeah.
And it's all played out through sharing these cups of wine.
The first cup is fine. She tells him to drink it full. That's standard host behavior. But the second cup, that's where the cultural line starts to get a little blurry.
Yes. She urges him to drink a double cup, pairing them together. And she uses the cold weather as her excuse. But really, she's signaling, we are a unit tonight. We are a pair.
And then comes the verbal attack.
Right. She sits close, right by the fire, and starts questioning his morality. She says she heard gossip that he keeps a singing girl over in East Street.
This isn't just a random jab, is it? She's trying to normalize illicit behavior.
Exactly. She's trying to frame him as a man who also has desires, who's capable of straying from the path. Wusong denies it very firmly, but she just dismisses his denial.
She says, I don't believe it. I'm just afraid your mouth doesn't match your heart.
She's calling him a hypocrite. She's challenging the very foundation of his public honor, looking for a chink in that armor.
And all this time, she's drinking pretty heavily herself. The text says that after 3 or 4 cups, her smoldering desire is fully ignited.
Yeah, and she's speaking idle words. And Wu Song, he realizes, 8 or 9/10 of what she's up to, and he just goes into his only defense mechanism. Rigid silence, staring at the floor.
And that's when the physical boundary is breached. Dramatically.
Yes, she warms up another jug of wine. She comes back, and she deliberately pinches his shoulder. And she asks, "Uncle, aren't you cold only wearing these clothes?"
That touch, it's so proprietary. It just crosses that line of kinship and respect completely. Wei Sung is clearly getting irritated, but he's still silent. He won't engage.
And she reads his silence all wrong. She sees it as maybe, just maybe, compliance. So she makes her final, truly iconic move. It involves the fire tongs.
She tries to take them from him, saying she's better at tending the fire, which needs to be constantly hot. I mean, the metaphor there is, it's not subtle.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then comes the ultimate explicit offer. She pours a cup of wine. She takes a sip herself, leaving her lipstick, her saliva on the cup, and she offers him this half-drunk cup.
If you have heart, drink this half cup of my residual wine.
In that cultural context, that is it. Drinking from someone's lips like that.
Yeah.
It's an undeniable, permanent sign of total intimacy. It's accepting a forbidden bond. This is the point of no return.
So he has to either accept that bond or just destroy the moment completely.
And he chooses destruction.
The eruption is immediate and violent. He snatches the cup, pours the wine right onto the ground. He shatters the whole spell.
And he physically shoves her, almost knocks her over. And then he unleashes this moral sermon.
This is a really critical moment where his public identity just completely obliterates the domestic scene.
He condemns her for being shameless, but the core of his fury is the language he uses, the classification.
Right. He defines himself as a man who stands between heaven and earth,
Right.
not a pig or dog that corrupts morals and lacks human relations.
That comparison, a
Yeah.
pig or dog, that is unforgivably harsh. He's basically importing the black and white moral code of the court, of the battlefield, right into his brother's marriage. There's no nuance.
It's the rigid honor of the public hero just failing completely to navigate the complexity of private human emotion.
And then comes the threat, the physical threat. In my eyes, I recognize you as my sister-in-law, but my fist does not recognize my sister-in-law. He's making it crystal clear that his family loyalty has its limits.
And Pan Jinlian's reaction is, well, it's fascinating. Her face turns crimson with shame, with rage, and she immediately pivots. She claims she was just playing for fun.
Right, playing for fun, and that he, Wu Song, just didn't know how to be respected. She retreats, but her ego is so wounded that, she's now desperate for revenge.
The irony is just profound. His physical strength, the very thing that makes him a hero out there, makes him a devastating force in here, in this fragile domestic space.
Yes. His refusal to play along with the flirtation leads directly to this act of condemnation that basically guarantees future malice. So she's been publicly shamed in her own home.
And her immediate move is to try and regain control by just inverting the entire story.
Exactly. Wu Da comes home, and there she is waiting for him, crying, eyes all red. And she completely fabricates this story. She claims Wu Song molested her.
It's a classic narrative reversal. He took advantage of them being alone.
And poor simple Wu Da, the biscuit seller, he just can't handle this. He mildly defends his brother, says he's an honest man, and then he just begs her not to speak so loudly because he's worried about the neighbors.
He's totally powerless.
Completely. And Wu Song, he's still seething. He's unwilling to engage in what he sees as this, petty domestic battle. So he just grabs his few things and leaves for the county office.
His silence is his final declaration of moral superiority. He won't debate her. He won't engage with the lie.
And she sees him leaving. And she unleashes her rage, not on Wu Song, but on her own husband. She calls Wu Da a muddle-headed fool, a chaotic spirit.
And then she has this potent insult for Wu Song himself. She calls him a hollow wooden melon, only good-looking.
In her eyes, he's a fraud, a hero in appearance only.
So Wu Song formalizes the split right away. He comes back with a soldier to move his things out properly. He tells Wu Da not to even ask why, saying that hearing the truth would only damage your reputation.
And Wu Da, he's intimidated. He doesn't press him. The fissure is permanent now, and Jinlian has complete control of that house.
But the outside world isn't done with Wu Song. Just 10 days later, the county magistrate pulls him right back into that public role he's so comfortable in.
Right. The magistrate needs to send a massive shipment of gold and silver to the capital, to Tokyo, to basically buy a promotion.
And this is a high-stakes, dangerous job.
A hero's job. It needs a hero and capable man to make sure the goods aren't robbed, and Woo-song is the only man the magistrate trusts. So Woo-song accepts instantly. It's an honorable escape from all that domestic poison.
And the trip is long. It'll last up to 2 months. A long, dangerous absence. But before he goes, he feels this duty to his brother. He has to go back for a formal farewell dinner.
And this is where we see Jinlian's desire just reemerge. She sees him bringing these offerings, and her first thought is that he's come back because he misses her.
She still completely misinterprets his sense of duty as some kind of hidden longing.
Totally. So Woo-song, he's oblivious. He has no idea that his previous anger only stoked her hatred. He sits down to offer his brother, who he knows is weak, some parting advice. 3 protective steps.
First, he tells Woo-da to reduce his vulnerability. Sell 5 trays of biscuits, not 10. Spend less time out of the house.
Second, he must come home early, close the door, draw the curtains, avoid gossip. He's trying to build a physical barrier around his brother.
And third, if anyone bullies him, he has to wait for Woo-sung to get back and settle accounts.
He's still focused on external threats. Bullies, thieves, gossips. He is totally blind to the internal danger sitting right across the table from him.
And then comes the final, fatal warning. This one is for Pan Jinlian herself. He tells her she needs inward strength, that she needs to be the strong mistress of the household.
And then he delivers the proverb that seals his brother's fate.
If the fence is strong, the dogs will not enter.
Ugh, that proverb is the ultimate insult. He's implying that she, the woman, is the sole keeper of the home's virtue. If any scandal happens, it's her fault for not being a strong enough fence.
And that the potential seducers or gossips are nothing more than dogs.
Her face, it says, turns instantly crimson, then purple. She takes this advice, which in his mind was protective, rooted in his rigid morality. She takes it as a direct public attack on her already shattered honor.
And she turns her fury right onto her husband.
Immediately. She calls Woo-da a dirty, muddled fool and accuses him of conspiring with Woo-song to bully her.
And she launches into this ferocious defense of her own character, claiming she's a woman of fierce reputation, not some spineless wife. She says that since she married Woo-da, not even ants dared to enter their home.
She's repositioning herself as the only moral authority in the room, and then she rejects Woo-song and his authority completely. She shoves the wine aside, runs down the stairs.
And from the landing, she delivers the final defining insult. She accuses him of being this pretentious, meddling busybody. I never heard of an uncle coming here to be a meddling elder.
She concludes by weeping, calling herself unlucky.
I mean, the source material doesn't waste a single page. It's a remarkable study in narrative urgency. The moment Woo-song says goodbye, the gears of fate just start grinding.
So let's start with that farewell. It's described as tearful, but it's the advice that really matters, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
He tells his older, much weaker brother, Woo-da, "Big brother, don't forget my words."
And this wasn't just, sentimental advice. It was a security protocol.
A security protocol disguised as a financial plan.
Exactly. Safety protocols disguised as economics. Woo-song knew he was leaving his vulnerable brother with a beautiful and very unhappy wife.
So he sets up this financial buffer.
Right. He tells him, look, I'll send you money. You don't have to worry about funds. And that was the key. That was the excuse he needed to change Woo-da's whole routine.
Because Woo-da was a cake seller. He was always out, often late.
Yes, so Woo-song's order was simple. Sell only half your usual supply of baked cakes, and most importantly, get home early.
The goal was just to keep him safe, inside and away from trouble.
And for a few days, it actually works perfectly. The sources really emphasize Woo-da's loyalty to his brother. He sells exactly half his stock. He gets home before dark.
And he immediately closes up shop. He shuts the door, takes down the bamboo curtain. He's doing everything right.
He's being the loyal, obedient, cautious brother.
But, was it ever realistic to expect that to hold up? Especially with that kind of domestic pressure building inside the house?
That is the crux of the problem, isn't it? Because while Woo-da found security in this, his wife found only resentment.
And the sources say she just furiously abused him for days.
Nonstop. She absolutely hated this new, restrictive routine.
And the insults are so revealing. She calls him a chaotic, muddy thing.
Vicious stuff, and she blames him for listening to his brother's birdmouth.
But it's the specific complaint that tells you everything. She says closing up early makes the house look like it keeps ghosts.
Yes, that's such an important social detail. In that environment, Closing your home up early wasn't normal. It signaled, poverty or fear, that you had something to hide.
So his attempt at safety was creating this external social shame.
An incredible domestic misery.
But Wu Da, he stands his ground. He insists his brother's words are gold language.
He completely gets it.
He understands the stakes his brother laid out, even if his wife refuses to.
So this creates a standoff. But then there's a twist.
There is. After about 10 days, the fighting just stops.
She gives up.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Our sources say she just sort of got used to it, and maybe grudgingly, she starts taking down the curtain herself when he's due home.
Oh, so that momentary peace? That's the trap.
That's the trade.
Because now she's the one physically handling the object that's about to become the catalyst for this entire tragedy.
Precisely. Which brings us to the day it happens. It's late winter, the weather is warming up, and she's getting ready to close up, holding that long curtain pole, the chigan.
And this is where it's just, the randomness of fate is almost comical. She loses her grip. The pole slips and falls.
The timing is just impossible. It doesn't just hit the ground. It hits a man walking by right on his head covering. On his headscarf or turban, yeah. The writers even throw in that old saying, no coincidence, no story. They're practically winking at you.
And this man, he is ready for a fight. He stops dead in his tracks, about to let loose.
Then he looks up.
He looks up and he sees this woman who the text describes as seductive, and his anger just vanishes.
It vanishes. The source says his rage flew straight through to Java country.
It's such an incredible line. I mean, it turns instantly into a smile. He goes from wanting violence to pure lust in a split second.
So she apologizes, gives him a deep bow. He says no harm done, but he just lingers there, staring at her.
Openly staring. And the way he leaves, it's a performance. He walks away using these slow figure-8 steps, and he keeps turning back to look at her. 7 or 8 times, the text says.
He's not just walking away, he's marking his territory. He's saying, I'll be back.
He was hooked. And of course, this whole scene had a witness. The most dangerous witness possible.
Wang Pao. The neighbor.
The neighbor, the tea shop owner right next door. She saw the whole thing from under her own curtain.
And her first reaction is just cynical laughter. She says the strike was just right.
She sees it immediately. She recognizes this explosive combination of lust and opportunity.
Which brings us to the man himself, Shimin King. The sources don't wait to tell us who he is. He's not just some rich guy.
No, he's a local scoundrel, a broken-down family rich man who owns a raw medicine shop.
But that's just a front, isn't it?
Completely. His real business is corruption. He uses his money and influence to manipulate officials, settle scores for profit. He's the local power broker. People call him Shimin de Guan Ren.
And he makes a beeline straight for Wang Po's shop.
Within moments, he sits down and demands to know who the woman is.
And this starts this weirdly comedic but deeply cynical interrogation.
It really is. Wang Po is playing him. She knows who he is, she knows exactly what he wants, and she is just calculating her price.
So she teases him. She says the woman is the sister of King Yama, the lord of the underworld.
Or the daughter of the 5 Path Generals. She's just mocking his desperation.
Just trying to see how deep the obsession goes before she gives him the real information.
And when she finally does, telling him she's the wife of Wu Da, the cake seller.
Shimin King's reaction is just pure, vicious class snobbery. He literally stomps his foot.
And shouts, "What a piece of lamb meat! How did it fall into a dog's mouth?"
That is just brutal. It completely strips Wu Dai of his humanity.
It does. And it confirms Wu Da's nickname around town. The 3-inch dwarf valley tree bark.
It's a public dismissal of him as a man deserving of his wife. And you have to see, this is the social permission they need. It's the green light.
And Wang Po just pours gasoline on that fire. She comes back with this cynical proverb.
A fine horse carries a foolish man. A beautiful wife sleeps with a clumsy husband.
She's basically telling him, look, fate made a mistake here, and we're just the people to correct it.
That proverb is their license to act. So Shimin King gets right to the point. He asks her to be a matchmaker for them.
And Wang Po, the master manipulator, immediately pretends to resist.
Right, she brings up his main wife, says she's worried about getting beaten up.
She's just raising the stakes, making him beg for it. And he falls for it completely, assures her his wife is tolerant, that he has other women at home, but none of them satisfy him like this one will.
He's obsessed. Wang Po pushes him even more, testing him. She jokingly offers him a different match.
A woman who is 93 years old, born in the year of the tiger.
And he just laughs and says she's only using the wind to joke, which basically confirms he knows she's a trickster and he's willing to play the game.
But what's really fascinating is his focus. He doesn't just ask once and leave. He keeps coming back to her tea shop all day long, just sitting by the curtain and staring at Wu Da's door.
And he keeps ordering drinks, right?
Yeah.
First plum soup.
And he insists it has to be sweet. Then later, a harmony soup. And again, it must be sweet.
The sweetness is so symbolic. He wants a sweet, easy, consensual victory.
And Wang Po sees this. She sees his desperation, his willingness to spend. She recognizes him as a persistent brush, a schwazi, someone just circling, looking for a way in. And she decides then and there she's going to make him pay for it.
This really brings us to who Wang Po is. She's not just a tea shop owner. The sources present her as this powerful, almost mythological agent of moral destruction.
They really do. The text elevates her status to an incredible degree. Her skill with words is described as being better than famous ancient rhetoricians.
It says she could outtalk Lu Jia and Sui He. I mean, think about that. She's presented as rhetorically unbeatable.
And that hyperbolic language is there for a reason. It's to show us she's a mythic matchmaker gone wrong. She can pair up the most incompatible people, an arhat and a bhikkhuni, a monk and a nun.
She can even influence gods and goddesses, making them yearn for a lover.
She is the perfect architect for this tragedy. She doesn't just facilitate the affair, she builds the entire psychological framework for it.
Wu Da's simple gold language advice stood no chance against that kind of calculated, articulate wickedness.
Exactly. Wu Song's plan was designed to stop external danger, Wu Da getting into a fight on the street.
He never accounted for internal corruption.
He never accounted for a social broker like Wang Po, whose entire skill set is identifying and exploiting moral weakness for profit.